Good morning, Young Kings. Time for your morning motivation this morning. Had to get up early this morning and to get at it. It's about 4:45 or so in the morning. I couldn't sleep last night. Yesterday was one of those days where I started to jump on a video, but I decided, to take a break and not get off into emotions and stuff of that nature. So I wanted to take a step back and just assess things before I got on the video. So couldn't sleep tonight. I was up 1, 2, and then finally at 3, just couldn't sleep. So I decided to go to the gym and get a workout in. My girl asked me, she said, so why don't you just go to the gym and run? And that was my plan on doing that. So I went to the gym, only realized that they were closed. They don't open till 7 o'clock on Sunday. So I met a little roadblock there, and it's like, wow, I really was looking forward to getting the run in, and now the gym is closed. What'd I do? Had an obstacle in my way. So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna run outside. So that's what I did. Came outside in all this beautiful glory, and just did just over 3 miles running here on the track in the winter. Like I said, it's about 26 degrees. 32 degrees is freezing, so it's a cold world. And I think that's going to be kind of the title of this one. It's a cold world out there. As I mentioned yesterday, started off okay, good day, productive day. My sergeant major, my NCOIC just got promoted to sergeant major, so I got to go to his promotion ceremony, watch him get pinned. Beautiful family, outstanding soldier. Just got pinned from Master Sergeant to Sergeant Major, and I'll be my operations Sergeant Major. So glad to have him on board, and his family was there. All excited about his new adventures in life, and getting promoted and advancing. And it seemed like family was very supportive. So that started it off. I was like, man, it seems like the melanated people don't get that, but neither here nor there. Enjoyed the festivities in this celebration and go on. And as I told you, I deleted Facebook off my phone, but I still have it on my iPad. So every now and then I'll go get on there, but it's not a place where I just get on there a lot. So I got on there yesterday morning, just kind of long intro, but y'all don't have to tolerate me today. And there was a post by my niece, and it said something like, you don't really understand how bad of a situation you're in until you get into a healthy one. So I ended up liking or loving the post, and we started the dialogue with my sister in there. And she's already started the dialogue before on one of my video posts about her feelings towards my ex, and that she's going to be a Morton for life and all this and that nature. And by all means, I'm not trying to discourage her from doing that, but I'm at war. And when you're at war, you can't have time for people that's on the fence about you or whatever. And it's not a discouragement, to her to not support my ex. But the ironic thing about it is, like, my ex can't stand her. She's blocked right now on social media, blocked from phone calls. And, she put a post on there like she's always going to be a Morton. She's always going to respect her. And I said, no, she's not a Morton. That title's reserved for her replacement. She's not a Morton. She chose not to be a Morton. She should go take the last name of the dude she left for. So we got in this back and forth discussions, and normally in this new state I wouldn't have done that. But when you're at war, you got to figure out who your allies are and who they're not. So I found out closely, she made some statements on there like, hey, because I said her last name is Vic, as in invicted from being Morton, and she made a statement that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. She was like, hey, is this an eviction or a victory to her? And so kind of like questioning my worth and what I brought to the table. And there's no room for that in my life. So, what I had to do, as my boy Eric tells me, he's like, when people, in your circle start acting funny, whether it be family or it may be, you feed them with a long spoon and you love them from a distance. So I went on to remove myself from that situation. If she hasn't found out, she watched these videos, but she's blocked now. So I don't have time for people that's on the fence. So this is a lesson, young kings. People on the fence about your life, help them decide. Help them decide. You don't need them. Whether it's family, blood, friends, people, whoever it may be. It's time for all in. It's time for you to believe in yourself too. So, and this is not the first indication. So this is not me being sensitive or me just getting on here and venting about this. But just right after New Year's on January 2nd, and I chose not to put it out there before, but she's accumulating these type accusations and statements that lets me know I need to get some distance between me and her. Like, I guess her son is 19 years old, and on New Year's, she found him drinking and something of that nature, and he told a bold-faced lie that he's been getting alcohol from me, so he don't know what the big deal is. So without anything, and this is an indictment on me and my character, because I'm here building young kings. I'm not trying to destroy or tear nobody down. I wouldn't do that, especially to my nephew. Anybody know me, that's way outside of the boundaries for me. So before she even asked me a question, like, hey, what's going on with this? She started jumping on me first thing New Year's Day, or January 2nd, saying, how dare I call myself trying to build up young kings and I'm tearing one down. That's my nephew. So I immediately respond, like, hey, what's this about? And I engaged with my nephew, and only find out like he was under pressure, so he felt like he had to say something. So he just threw me under the bus. And I screenshotted her and showed her the text. Not one apology, not nothing. Just like, okay, whatever. And then just started sending me memes as though all was normal. So that let me know right off the back, like, okay, it's long spoon time. It's long spoon time, and the handle's getting longer. So I'm in this season. I'm at war. I'm at war with myself. And you just became a casualty because I got to protect me. So I got to exclude you. But anyway, that started the day. And then I went on to the court to get the paperwork from the filing from my spousal support, not child support, spousal support. And I told you in a few videos ago that they wanted $3,000 a month, and that I thought that was a bit excessive for spousal support, especially when my kids above 18. And when I went and got the paperwork of how much I got to pay, they awarded them $3,100, so they gave them a $100 bonus on top of that. So I had to talk with my lawyer and tell him, like, hey, WTF, what the fuck? You supposed to be defending me. So I had to have a long talk with my lawyer and realize, like, hey, man, we gotta appeal this shit. And we are, and they cited the new case and that, so I'm gonna do some study, but I'm gonna do some study offline, because I realize people who's watching this ain't always just watching it, cheering for me, they're opposing me. So I got 21 days to appeal. But the difficult thing about it is, like, they give me 21 days to appeal, but I got a military school I got to go to that I'm going to be going out of town for like 17 of those days. And then you got to realize 2 of those days next week is a holiday. You got Martin Luther King birthday and you got Inauguration Day. So in essence, I got roughly about 2 days to get this appeal together and get it submitted. Because I told them I saw military orders, and if I can get an extension, and they acting like I'm speaking Spanish and they don't understand, that I got a duty that's going to take me out of state for 17 plus days, and of that 21 days. But try to make it impossible. Like, when obstacles come up against you, you got a choice. Like, what do you do? Do you quit? Do you give up? And I realized, like, as I was running this morning, it's cold out here. My hands is getting cold now. Look at this. Ain't no time to stop. That's snow out there. I'm running on snow. You see my shoe prints out there? Let me show you the signs of progress. But I realized, like, when I was running and reflecting over my life and some of the decisions that got me here, I realized how blessed I am. Like, man, I remember when I thought it was a blessing to make $3,000 a month, let alone be paying it to someone else's spousal support. Like, I realized, like, I'm okay. Like, I've been extremely blessed, So out of pay her $3,000 a month, I realized, like, I'm gonna appeal it and go for a reduction, but I'm doing it off the reduction based on principle, not based on capability. Like, I still can afford my house, my car, my boat, a lifestyle that's conducive to me being a young black male, successful black male. And I realized, like, even with that being said, it's like, I'm still growing. I'm 45. Like, where I'm at now is just, you took a bookmark right now. My best is yet to come. Nobody gave me a fish. Nobody gave me anything. I had to learn how to fish. So when you start taking fish away, I just go back to the water, start fishing for some more. My grind's about to rise. Like, when I got to the gym, it was an obstacle. It was closed down. It was shut down. I could have, like, okay, man, no workout today. Let's go in. Let's play victim, go lay in this bed and think about this. But no, I got my ass up and I decided, hey, no, you already out here at the gym. Because I did go to the gym. It wasn't like I looked it up online and realized it was closed. I actually got up and got to the gym and realized it was closed. So I was already out the house. I was like, man, we already out here. It's time for progress to be made. So came out to the track. It ain't plowed. Let me show you. This is the track. It ain't plowed. Those are my footsteps going by there. That's the sign of progress right there. It ain't plowed out here. And as I was running, the Lord, he spoke to me like, hey, it's a cold world, but you heat up to it. And as I started running, my body started sweating and started to get up to the temperature and stuff of that nature. So I realized, like, it's cold and it's slippery. I just got to watch my step. My next step's got to be careful. I can't run with the same pace that I had when it was on a summer day. I'm in a winter storm now. I'm in war. This is war in the wintertime. So got to be dressed for war. Got to be ready. So when I was running, I had to be a little careful. And that's what I realized now in this war right now. It's like, I got to be careful. And there's a few times that I almost slipped and fell, And I started to realize, like, that's life. And God is telling me, like, he's not here to destroy me. This is part of my process. He never told me it would be easy. He never told me that everything was going to come out exactly the way I wanted, when I wanted it. He just said all things work for the good, for them that love the Lord and that are called according to his purpose. So, like I said in the video before, it's like there's a quote that says, everything going to be all right in the end. And if it's not all right now, that means it's not the end. This is not the end. There's still growth that has to happen. There's still progress that still need to be made. So I was about to slip and fall, and I caught my balance, and I realized, Lord, there's several times that you have caught me from really falling off. And this is a operation, Restore the Lion King and self-identity, the battle of self-discovery. And I'm discovering, Lord, you ain't failed me yet. Like, it ain't been an easy life, but man, you ain't failed me yet. So I don't think you're going to start failing me now. So it's like trusting them. And then, as I was running and going through this process, I'm switching hands because my hand is cold out here. Now that I'm not running, it's getting a little cold out here. But when I was running, he reminded me of Exodus when he had Moses lead his people out of slavery, out of Egypt. Egypt was a place of bondage. And, it was a place where they were held captive and they were working for masters and, weren't being appreciated. And I told you that marriage was my Egypt, just like in the movie of Lion King. That marriage was my scar. So it was my Egypt. And God reminded me today that, like, hey, when I brought them out of Egypt, I didn't take them right to the promised land. It wasn't an overnight thing. They went in the wilderness. They had to depend on me to feed them. Like, I fed them manna from heaven. They was fed, but they didn't go into paradise. And he's like, he reminded me also, he's like, the reason they didn't go is because they lost their faith along the way. They started to question, and it was like, they started to attack the men of God. It's like, God, they're like, Moses, I know you didn't bring us out of slavery just to die in the wilderness. At least in captivity, we have comfort, we have food. Now, these are people that were desiring to go back to bondage rather than to travel the road ahead because it was difficult, it was different, it was unfamiliar. So they was questioning, should they have stayed in slavery or if they should have come out of that. And, and God quickened me. It's like, the reason they didn't go into paradise because they started complaining. They started whining. They started, to backbite and stuff of that nature. So, and God didn't allow them to go until that generation died off and then went on. So he's like, that was kind of my warning sign. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna appeal this process, but like I said, I'm not appealing capability. I'm appealing, principles behind it. Like, I've been extremely blessed. Like, God has been good to me. Like, for me to still be able to be out of $3,000 a month, not have to go downgrade or sell a house, or have to go get a second job, or anything of that nature. Like, that's extreme blessing, especially from someone who barely graduated high school, someone whose spouse said they were no good, and that was the worst decision, and now she got a pension off me. But neither here nor there. We'll appeal that process, and I realized, like, as the example I gave you with Moses leaving his people out of captivity, they went into a wilderness. So this is my wilderness area right here. But I realized, like, and they started to backbite against Moses, as I indicated. But if you watch that movie Lion King, Simba, when Mufasa died, the first person he encountered after that was Scar. And, Scar was the one who initiated the thing for the destruction and the plot to really kill Mufasa and even Simba. Like, he wanted to take them both out. So in that meeting, in that engagement, he started to throw accusations at Simba, like, hey, look at you. You caused this, you're less than this. You ought to run away. You ought to forget that you ever existed. Go away from here. And then he sent the hyenas after him, because Simba ran, and then he sent the hyenas after him to kill him. And Simba, he wandered in the wilderness. He found some friends and comfort, there, Hakuna Matata type environment, but it wasn't where he was supposed to be. So he wandered in this wilderness, lost his identity. So those are all kind of sharp reminders to me, like, during this process, this self-discovery is even more important now. It's even more important. It's even more important that I get on the grind. It's even more important that I fortify the people who are around me. Like, hey, if you're not for me, you're against me. And it's not me being emotional. It's not me being anti-people. Hey, I'm just saying, this is a war, and there's casualties out here. So you got to be careful, because it's a cold world out here. And you got to watch your step, because if you slip and fall, people are not going to ask you if you're okay. They're going to start laughing. I remember when I had hip surgery, and I was down. I couldn't run at all. And I was on, like, my fourth bout of physical therapy. And I remember before the fourth bout, I was, like, just praying, like, God, excuse my sniffling, whatever, 'cause it's cold out here. But I was just praying before I go to therapy. I was like, Lord, I really don't want this to be the end of my military career and stuff of that nature, and just kind of pouring my heart out to God. And then as I go out the door to the garage, I go on a step, and I trip and fall on a skate or a shoe that was on the step. And as I fell down the stairs, my my right leg, that's the one I had hip surgery on, it came back, and my heel touched my butt and my back, and I was just in this excruciating pain, and I made a loud noise falling. And I remember because the wife at the time and the kids, they came and they started laughing at me that I have fallen. They didn't ask if I was okay or anything. They just started laughing, like, oh, you fell, ha ha ha, that's funny. And I remember just laying down there on the ground, and I was like, wow. At first it was excruciating pain, and I was like, man, I was just praying for my healing, and this I fall, what's going on? And as I was laying down there, the pain started to decrease. And God spoke to me. It's like, hey, even when you fall, you think I'm hurting you, but I'm actually healing you. And his spirit just quickened me. And I remember getting up, and my body just started to feel better. And I decided, I said, you know what? I'm going to step out on faith. And I went out there, and before then, I haven't been able to run like more than, 5 or 6 steps. And before physical therapy, because I didn't want to go to physical therapy and give physical therapy the credit and say, well, this therapy worked this time. No, before I even got there, I went to the track and I ran a mile. And I was like, wow, this is the furthest I ran. And I've been running ever since. I mean, there's a few times I've had to get injections to stop some of the pain, but I'm back to running. As you can see, back out here running, even in the wintertime. So sometimes you will fall. Sometimes you will fail. But as I told you before, like, failure is not final and success is not permanent. Like, what I do with this information now will determine my future. Like, I can decide, like, oh, woe is me, how I'm going to make it. And I was already going to go on a financial diet because I got to be a better steward of my resources and the money that's been entrusted to me. So I'm already was on that path to do that. And like I said, I'm still going to go through and appeal this process. But I feel like, if anything, it's like this feeling is like, I don't know, it's not of sadness. It's not of anger. I'm not mad. Um, I'm a little disappointed, like, in the court's deductive reasoning and their ability to see factual. But then I realized, I was talking with Cam, that's a court system. I'm a melanated king in the court system, with obviously a female wife that's over there crying, a female lawyer, and a female judge. I'm not saying that all played a part in it, but man, I'm this big black dude, and man, it looks like I should be penalized for being black. You know, it looks like that there's a tax on that. And I'm not saying that went into the decision, but I'm sure it didn't count in my favor. So I'm gonna talk to my lawyer, and at first hints, I was gonna fire my lawyer. I said, you know what, you messed this up. But then I decided, like, so you know what, I'm gonna give you another chance for this appeal. And my lawyer agreed. He told me, my lawyer talked to me. He's like, look, I think we got this, but I'm so confident that if we don't win this, that I'll even help you pay it. So me and my lawyer, he's on the hook too. He said, if you don't think, if we don't win this case, that he's willing to go down the line and help me pay for it. And I'm gonna take him up on that, because I can use a little help paying for it. And he's a smart dude, so I know he's gonna find a way. So I'm gonna give him another chance, a little grace. They said grace stands for God's riches at Christ's expense. Like, and if this is what is my wilderness, I'm gonna walk it. I'm gonna be okay. I feel like, and although I don't agree with this guy ideology or what he believes in or what he stands for, I don't believe, like, his policies and stuff of that nature. But it's almost like that Donald Trump moment. Like, the dude lost, and I think what's hurt the most is his ego. The reality of it is that he lost, and then he starts. So I got to make sure I don't go and do the Donald Trump response. But at the same time, it's like, this dude, he's still rich. Yeah, he's not the president. Nor do I think he should have been. But either way, he's still got a few more days to be it. But the reality of it is, it's like, he still goes on with his life. And the reality of it is, it's like, I got to do the same. Like, I got to be able to crucify or assassinate my ego. It's like, and I think that's the hardest part about it. It's like letting it go. Just understanding, like, this too shall pass. Like, this is my wilderness. This is my moment away from my pride. Because the thing about it, and when he was talking about in Lion King, he had to come back to his pride. The pride is the lion's family. And the thing about everything in the Lion King too, it's like, the one who set it up for the failure, Scar, when he took over from Mufasa, he wasn't prospering. He didn't run it right. He actually ran into the ground. And, he was thinking that he had a lot of indictments against Mufasa about how he ran things. And if he was king, it would be so much better. And went and recruited some hyenas. So, and when Scar and the hyenas got in charge, they ended up destroying the Pride Land. And it wasn't until Simba came back and that everything was be able to get restored. So I know she got the 3,000, 3,100, and she went and got a hyena for a dude or whatever he may be. But the reality of it is like, I'm gonna be okay because nobody gave me nothing. And this thing, she can say that I'm the biggest mistake she had, but man, I don't think mistakes pay that well. That don't sound like a mistake. That sounds like you married a guy that was on purpose and really had his shit together. But it doesn't end there. So, and I say all that to say this, and we're going to get back to the self-discovery, but this is a part of that as well. My value is not in anything external to me. No, nobody external to me established my value. The only thing they can establish is their access to me and if they benefit from it. So you may think like, oh, 3,000 a month is a benefit. That's pale in comparison to my worth. I'm priceless. So when people are on the fence with you or things of that nature, and it seems like they're pity-patting back and forth, help them decide your worth is too great. Your latter shall be greater than the former. So this is not my end. This is a comma. This is not a period. I mean, I'm closing this chapter, and maybe it's even time to write a new book. But the reality of it is, it's like, the best is yet to come. So I don't lose any value. None at all. My value's still intact. I'm so valuable. I'm gonna pay that 3,000 until my lawyer gets it reduced, and not lose anything else. 3,000 doesn't get you the house I got. 3,000 ain't worth, the peace I have now. Like, just as that post indicated, like, you really don't understand how bad of a situation you've been in until you get into a healthy one. So this is not an indictment on, well, I guess it is. Like, that was an unhealthy environment for me to operate in, and I realized, like, my peace of mind now is different. And it's like the simple things in life. I have a young lady that adores me, and I haven't been adored, even though I'm still wounded. And it's simple stuff like a text like, how you doing at work? And do you know, like, the woman who was supposed to benefit from me the most, I could probably count on one hand, how many times she asked me how my day was at work. Because when you're so busy taking from people, you're not really concerned about that person. You're just concerned about how much you can get. But now you know how much you can get. And what else you can get is get gone. Because the best is yet to come. So I know this was more of an event video. I had to get up and go running. I had to slow my mind down to realize, like, look, I'm blessed. Like, I'm extremely blessed. For somebody who barely graduated high school to be in this position, y'all may think it's a loss, but I think it's a win to even be here. And the fact that God still got me here, he's not done with me yet. Not done with me yet. I will be an overcomer. I'll overcome this. Just like whatever you're going through, you overcome that as well. So sometimes, in conclusion, it's a cold world out here. Cold world. And look out there. Look who came out here to run with me. See that? Sometimes you had to take that run by yourself. The audience, sometimes it's good when it's there. But just like the NBA, sometimes there's a pandemic going on and there won't be a crowd. It's still for you to go out there and ball. So that's what sometimes there won't be a crowd around, but you still got to get out there and get those miles in. So be well, young kings. I'll get on here another day or so, or I may, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I got some studying to do for my appeal. I know I don't want to televise my appeal because I don't want, people to have advance warning on what I'm thinking and what process I'm going to appeal. So from that perspective, I won't have that. So we'll see. But we'll keep on that self-discovery. But in that self-discovery, what I did discover is like, God has been good to me. Be well, young kings.